Welcome back where the lights flicker just before the truth steps through. Tonight we unravel one of the strangest and most unnerving modern folk tales circulating the edges of urban myth and federal silence. Stories of unmarked black surveillance trucks that appear in quiet neighborhoods across the country, and the people who vanish, change, or never quite come back the same after they arrive. What you're about to hear isn't fiction. These accounts draw from message boards, leaked police logs, auction inventories, and first-hand recordings. Some names have been withheld for safety. Some neighborhoods have been blacked out entirely. But the voices remain, and they all agree on one thing. The trucks don't just observe, they replicate. If this is your first time linking with our channel, hit subscribe for weekly audio reconstructions based on real disappearances, digital anomalies, and modern surveillance horror. If you've seen the truck or recorded something similar, drop it in the comments. Because once you start noticing the pattern, it's already looking back. I saw the truck for the first time on a Tuesday morning, parked at the end of our street like it had always been there. Matte black, no plates, dark-tinted windows. Unmarked but somehow screaming authority. My neighbor Janice said it was just a federal surveillance vehicle, like that made it normal. When I asked around, everyone else shrugged. Routine operation, someone said. Probably nothing. But I've lived on this block 6 years. I know every car that parks here, every weird noise, every stray animal. That truck wasn't right.
It didn't leave that whole first day. No one got in or out. No headlights. No engine, just sitting there, silent, still, like it was watching. I walked my dog that night and felt the weight of it on the back of my neck, like something was looking through my skin. My dog stopped dead in the middle of the sidewalk, hackles up, staring at it. Then he bolted, dragging me halfway down the block.
The next day it was still there. I saw Janice again, watering her plants out front. I tried to play it casual when I asked if she'd seen anyone get in or out.
She looked up, squinting at the truck.
Oh, no, I guess not. That was it. Like the thought had never crossed her mind. By Thursday, the block was getting quiet. People weren't walking their dogs anymore. No joggers passing by. I didn't hear kids on bikes or families barbecuing in their yards. The FBI truck never moved, never made a sound. Just stayed there like a tumor on the street. Visible but ignored. If I'd known better, I wouldn't have called it in. I didn't think too much of it at the time, just left a casual tip with the city's non-emergency line. A suspicious vehicle. I didn't even say FBI out loud. That night, around 2:13 a.m., a loud knock shook my door. 3 short raps. Sharp. Measured. I froze in the hallway. I hadn't been asleep, just pacing. The knock came again. My porch light didn't come on. That was strange. I had it on a motion timer. I peeked out the blinds, heart crawling up my ribs.
No one was there.
The street lights were flickering all down the block, not off, just pulsing slowly like they were breathing. The truck, still there. I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I swear I heard something faint coming from that direction. A soft mechanical hum at first, then something else, like whispering. I told myself it had to be wind in the gutters, but there was no wind. Everything else was dead still. Friday morning, Janice's house was quiet. She usually had music playing. Today, nothing. Mail stacked on her porch, her car in the driveway. But I didn't see her come out for her usual morning routine. I texted her but didn't hear back. By noon, her house looked different. Darker, like something inside was swallowing the light. I know that sounds insane, but I stood out in the street and couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows in her windows weren't natural. That night, by 7 p.m., 4 more houses went dark. No lights, no movement, no sounds.
Just gone.
I tried to talk to the guy across the street, Dave. He stepped out to grab something from his car and I flagged him over. He walked like he was groggy, like just standing upright took effort. I asked him if he knew anything. He looked at me blank, unfocused, like he didn't set to understand the question. The truck sets with the feds, he said slowly. It sets a routine operation. I didn't sit to even mention the truck. I backed away. locked every door and window, sat in my living room with the lights off, phone in my lap just listening. That night I woke up to static. My TV had turned on by itself. I swear to you, I never touched the remote. It didn't even default to a cable channel, just static flooding the room with flickering white light. My phone screen was lit up too, stuck on the emergency alert screen, but there was no actual alert, no text. Just that red triangle with the exclamation point, like a placeholder. I approached the window one more time just to look. The truck had opened. Not all the way, just the back, a sliver. There was something inside, something dim and red, pulsing. But no one came out. It stayed like that until sunrise. Then, just like that, it was shut again. I tried to leave that morning. Swear to God, I packed a bag and started driving, didn't even tell anyone. But when I turned onto the main road out, my GPS glitched out hard. Every road I took, the signal dropped. At one point, it guided me in a loop, and I ended up back on my own street without realizing it. Neighbors' cest houses were still going dark. Each one fell silent like clockwork every 6 hours or so. It made no sense, but it wasn't random. There was a pattern. I started putting pins on a printed map. Don't ask why. I needed to see something physical, something I could control. It formed a kind of spiral, starting at the truck and radiating outward. My house was 2 away from the edge of the pattern. 2 houses left. I tried to reach the last neighbor, an old man named Eli. I knocked on his door, banged, yelled. I even saw movement in his living room window, but he never came, and by 3:14 a.m. his lights went out too. That left me. Mine was the last lit house on the block. The truck never moved. Then at 4:17 a.m. the power went out. Not just the lights, everything, my phone too. It was plugged in but showed no charge. My backup battery was blinking red, everything draining faster than it should. I grabbed a flashlight, opened the front curtain. The truck lights were on. Soft red like the inside of a human body, and the back door was wide open now. I don't know what I expected to see. A man in a suit? Federal agents? Equipment? No. It was empty inside, or it looked that way at first. But the longer I stared, the more my eyes adjusted. All the furniture from the neighborhood? It was piled in there. Janice's porch swing, Dave's lawn chair, a child's pink tricycle. Items stacked wrong, too high and too deep for the truck's dimensions, like it folded space inward. It didn't make sense. And that sound, that wasn't mechanical. It was breathing. I swear to you, that truck was breathing. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I just sat curled up under my kitchen table, flashlight pointed at the door. That sets when the knocking started again. 3 raps. Same rhythm as before. Only this time it didn't come from the front door. It came from every window all around the house. Knocks, taps, sometimes in sync, sometimes random, like whatever was out there wasn't bound to human coordination. Then voices came with them, not loud, just whispers. They said one word over and over. Routine. That was last night. Now it's morning. The sun is out. The truck is gone. Every house is still dark. I want to believe it's over, but the timeline doesn't fit. The pattern suggests whatever's inside that truck moves in cycles. And mine lasted longer than the others. Too long. I think I was left here on purpose. Like it wanted me to see what happens when it finishes a block.
Or maybe I thought.
Or maybe I may paint part of it now too.
The kicker. I went out this morning and stood where the truck had been. There were no tire marks, no indentations, like it had never touched the ground. But on the sidewalk, etched what looked like into the concrete beneath where the truck's back had faced, there was a faint burned shape. Not letters, a spiral. Just like the map I made. And I don't know who to call now. Because earlier today I went to the police station.
It's empty.
Every desk abandoned. Phones ringing and no one there to answer. I just stood in the middle of the lobby, heart pounding, until I heard the faint clicking sound of something mechanical outside. I ran to the window. At the far end of the parking lot, there it was. The same matte black truck. Engine off. Still waiting. This time facing me. It already smelled wrong when I opened the back doors. Stale copper. Something metallic and rotten baked into everything. The kind of stink that sinks in deep, not like garbage or mold. Worse, it made my mouth taste like pennies. The truck itself sat behind a government auction yard on the outskirts of town, miles from anything except dry grass and chain-link fence. I was told it was a decommissioned FBI vehicle that needed a deep clean before resale. No explanation. Just a Venmo deposit and a 4-digit code to unlock the back. It looked like a surveillance vehicle, matte black, no markings, no plates. Inside, cramped and windowless. Soundproofed walls with foam panels, bare metal floor, 2 bolted-down chairs with restraints, cameras on every corner of the ceiling, aimed inward, a counter with monitors and equipment that reminded me more of a psych ward than field work. This wasn't the kind of job I normally took, but they offered $1,000 just to clean it out. No contact, no names, said I had 2 hours. I told myself it was just another weird gig. Some specialized law enforcement thing. But then I found the drawer. It was bolted into the base of the chair closest to the back doors, covered in dried something. I didn't want to know what. The latch was stuck, but eventually I pried it open with a screwdriver. Inside were a bunch of labeled cassette tapes, neatly organized with white stickers and bold typed names. Subject 36. Initial interview. Subject 36, escalation. Subject 36, final. And 3 tapes with no labels. I should have left them, I know that, but something about the way the air shifted in that truck, like it held its breath when I opened that drawer, made me feel like I was supposed to find them, like it wanted me to. I pocketed the unlabeled tapes. Didn't even think, just did it. I finished the job quick, barely sprayed anything down. It felt less like cleaning and more like scrubbing a crime scene. Everything in that truck reeked of silence. The kind that comes after screaming. That night I checked the cassettes. I had an old combo VHS/DVD player that weirdly had a tape deck built in. One of those antique monstrosities I'd picked up at a garage sale years back. I still don't know why I kept it. Maybe I was supposed to. The first tape was empty for about 10 minutes. Just static, then it clicked and cut to black and white footage. A man sitting in one of the chairs, balding, maybe mid-40s, eyes darting, mouth twitching. He was sweating like crazy. The timestamp in the corner said 04, 3 hours, 12 minutes and 44 seconds. No audio. The camera slowly zoomed in, not smoothly, like it was someone operating it remotely from another room. He started shaking his head violently like he was saying no over and over, but his mouth never opened. Then behind him, one of the walls warped slightly, like the material wasn't solid. The black foam stretched, then slowly receded. I can't explain it right. It didn't tear. It folded inward, like a ripple in a screen, and something leaned forward against it from the other side. Not a person. It had a shape, humanoid but stretched. Too tall, too long, bent at weird angles. I could barely see it, just a faint distortion of light in the foam, like heat waves in the desert. The subject screamed, not with his mouth, but with his body. Full body convulsions. The chair didn't sit budge. He was strapped in tight. Blood came from his nose, his ears. Something behind the wall moved its head slowly, rhythmically, and then the footage stopped. Just static again. The second tape started right where the first left off. Same man, but different. He didn't look scared anymore. He looked empty, not drugged, hollow, skin pale, lips grayish. He made eye contact with the camera and just smiled, real slow and strained, like a puppet. Then he said 5 words, the only audible part of the tape. "It sets not inside the truck." Then the tape ejected itself. I didn't touch anything. I sat there in the dark for a long time afterward trying to make sense of it. My apartment was dead quiet. Too quiet. Like the walls were listening. Suddenly I couldn't hear the fridge hum, or the pipes, or the usual traffic outside. Nothing. Just the sound of my own breath. And behind it, very faint, like it was buried under the frequency of reality itself, was that warping sound. The ripple. I shut off the TV and ripped the tape out, but the sound didn't stop. I took the cassettes out back and burned them in the grill. They hissed more than they should have. The fire turned this oily green color for a second. I told myself it was just chemicals in the plastic, but I couldn't shake the smell, that copper smell from the truck.
It was on my hands again.
For days after, I couldn't sleep. Things moved slightly in my apartment. Stuff on shelves shifted an inch or two. My bathroom mirror fogged up with words I didn't write. Not full sentences, just fragments. It sups in the pattern. It doesn't need to open. You listened. I tried to report the job. I went back to the auction yard. The truck was gone. The trailer it sat behind was locked up, and when I asked the guy at the front desk, he looked at me like I'd made it up, said they hadn't received any FBI vehicles in months. No record of the plate, no keys issued, nothing. He did mention, though, in a low voice, that once in a while a black truck showed up in the lot. No one sees it come in. It's usually gone within the day. I asked if they'd ever cleaned one out. He just shook his head. I moved after that. Started over. Different city. Different job. For a while things were quiet. But earlier this week I came home and smelled that metallic stink again. No reason for it. My hands started tasting like blood when I chewed on my nails. The silence returned. That thick, too perfect quiet. And this morning a package showed up at my doorstep. No return label. Wrapped in plain brown paper. Inside was a new cassette tape. No title. Just a black sticker with one word stretched by hand in red ink. Recipient. I don't own a VCR anymore. I threw it away before I moved. But the cassette is still sitting on my kitchen counter. Sometimes it hums softly when the lights go out. I haven't played it, but I can hear something moving behind the walls again. Something with no footsteps. Just the soft sound of foam bending inward, like something trying to come through, not from the tape.
From wherever that truck went.
The truck didn't show up with sirens or feds knocking on my door. It was just there one morning, parked right across the street from my house, jet black, no license plates, no visible markings, just a plain boxy SUV with pitch-tinted windows and those massive reinforced bumpers. It wasn't like any FBI truck I'd seen before, but I'd seen stuff online about surveillance vehicles, and this thing looked exactly like them. At first I figured it was someone else's problem. Wrong address, wrong guy. I work remote, barely leave the house except to get groceries or walk the dog. Nobody surveils people like me. Nothing about me is interesting enough. But it didn't leave. Not that day, not the next. I live in a quiet neighborhood, small California town, half-retired people, maybe 3 kids total on the block, and nobody seemed alarmed. In fact, no one else mentioned it at all. I brought it up to Cheryl, my next-door neighbor, when we were taking the trash out. She looked right at it and said, "What truck?" The thing was 10 feet away. At that point, I started losing sleep. I'd peek out the blinds every hour like I was waiting for someone to get out of the truck. They never did. It just sat there, engine off, completely still, no movement in or around it. There was never any sound. Not even a subtle ticking noise or some kind of idle hum, like it wasn't a vehicle at all. By day 3, something new started happening. Whenever I looked at it too long, like more than a couple seconds, I'd get a ringing in my ears. Not loud, more like a pressure shift. It felt like something was sucking the air out of my lungs. When I turned away, it stopped. I thought maybe I was getting paranoid. So I took a picture of it that night from the window. Just one. No flash. But when I checked my camera roll, the truck wasn't there. The photo showed my street, my trees, the neighbor's Honda, but not the black truck. Like the pixels had been wiped completely, just this smooth, warped blur where it should have been. That's when the dreams started. Or maybe they were memories. It's hard to tell now. Every night I'd wake up at exactly 3:42 a.m., drenched in sweat, the same time, always. And there'd be this vague image burned into the back of my mind, me standing at the truck's door, not opening it. Just standing there shaking, completely paralyzed, while something on the other side slowly leaned forward toward me. I never saw its face. I don't even know if it had one, but the feeling in the dream was always the same. I wasn't set being watched. I was being measured. By the 6th day, I stopped leaving the house. Even my dog wouldn't go outside. He'd whimper and pace when we got near the front door, just sat by the back window staring. Not at the truck exactly, but in its direction, like he knew it meant danger even without seeing it. That morning I broke down and tried to call someone, non-emergency line, city impound, even Homeland Security. No one picked up, I mean that literally, no one. Every call rang endlessly or glitched out before connecting. Even when I tried 911, the line cut into silence after the 3rd ring. No tone, no voice. Just this creepy dead line hum like it was connected to something, but no one wanted to speak. And then that night it moved. I was sitting on the couch, shaking, watching through the living room window. The air felt electric. I swear the digital clock on my oven started ticking backward. My ceiling fan stopped dead. Then the truck's brake lights flared up suddenly, no engine revving, nothing, and it rolled forward, just a few feet. But it was facing my house now, front and center, not at an angle anymore. Like it had been watching the whole block before and finally decided. I ran upstairs, slammed the bedroom door, hid under the blankets like a damn child, hoping it was a dream, hoping it was a government mistake or elaborate prank or hell, maybe a mental breakdown, anything but what it felt like. And then came the knock.
Not at my door.
At my window. 3 quiet taps. Middle of the 2nd-story window. Like someone impossibly tall was standing outside my room, gently knocking. Not pounding. Not trying to get in. Just letting me know it was there. I didn't set move, couldn't set breathe. I waited for it to knock again, but it didn't. When I finally worked up the courage to look, there was nothing at the window, but across the street the truck was gone. Just gone, like it had never been there. No tire marks, no sound of it leaving. I thought maybe it was over, that whatever bullshit visitation that was, it had passed. But my phone was dead, not just low battery, bricked. My SIM card was gone, literally missing. No one could get through to me now.
I didn't tell anyone. I hadn't talked to anyone in days. And honestly, I didn't know if I could anymore. It felt like my voice didn't belong in my own throat. Like if I spoke, I'd be letting something out.
Then yesterday I finally left the house. I needed air, needed to see life again, so I went to the gas station 2 miles away. That sips when I saw another truck. Same look, black, unmarked, parked behind the dumpster. But this time someone was inside. Not a person exactly, just a shape, tall, still, facing forward. I paused, halfway through pumping gas, and for a second I swear the street around me warped, like the asphalt stretched, like reality itself clenched. Then the windows of the truck flickered, like static on glass. I only looked for maybe 3 seconds, but I felt it again. That same pressure in my chest from before. That same feeling. It wasn't sit watching me. It was scanning me. I didn't go home after that. I drove randomly, hours out of town, slept in a hardware store parking lot north of Fresno, and just now when I stopped to upload this at a motel with public Wi-Fi, a ping hit my phone. Still bricked, no service. But the home screen lit up for a split second. No apps, no icons. Just one line of text. You looked. That makes you visible. I think maybe everyone gets one glance, one chance before it notices. I used mine up, And something tells me now that wasn't an FBI truck. It never was. And it set's not done with me yet.